Welcome to the Maverrik podcast. My name is Terry Heath and I'm Chief Operating Officer here at Maverrik. Now, I want to share something with you today, something that will hopefully help you in the area of sales. Whether you're speaking in person or you're online doing all the social media stuff, this will hopefully help you. Now, you've probably heard the phrase, sell the problem you solve, not the product. Very famous selling, but it's so true. So many people are out there promoting and pushing, doing direct promotion. This is us. This is our company. This is our product. You should buy from us. But there's a problem with that. And the problem is that nobody wants your product until they see its value. Now, how will they ever perceive your value unless they know how it can help them? Now, I don't want to buy anything unless I know it will do something for me. I'm just going to go out there and just buy some random thing for the sake of buying it. No, I buy something for a purpose. And people are exactly like that in business. We're not all running around, spending all of that money that brings in through revenue on frivolous things. No, we buy on purpose. So if somebody wants to see the value in what your product or service is, then you've got to present it in such a way that they see it. And how do you do that? Well, as I said, you sell the problem that you solve, not the product. Now, let me give you a scenario just so we can frame all of this. Imagine, let's go for, there's a cash flow. Small business owners with cash flow problems, very common issue. So this is how I would wrap this up and present this online. I ask the question, do you have a cash flow problem in your business? Small businessman reads that post on LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever, and says, yes, I do. Now, that's just factual. Now, that's not great value. I need to dig in a little bit deeper. So what I say to them is, do you have that monthly anxiety, that worry that every time you come into month end, you're concerned, am I going to hit the salary budget and be able to pay my staff? And it's there every single month. And suddenly you've got the small business owner going, yeah, actually, that is me. And that's something that, I go through month in, month out. And then what about if we take it a little bit further and say, okay, this problem with cash flow and this issue that you have with going through this monthly cycle of the anxiety of meeting the salary budget tips over into your family life and now into your relationships. Is that where you're at? Is it really having that much of an effect? And you will have some business owners that will go, that's exactly where I'm at. But what then if you paint the picture of what your solution could do for them and what the future could look like? So I say now to the small business owner, I've got a solution that will lift that problem off your shoulders, relieve you of that anxiety and worry. You no longer have to have those arguments with your spouse or whatever. I've lifted that from you so you can now focus on building the business that you started. Now I've got your interest if you're that small business owner. Now, because why? I went right into the emotional side of it and I caught your attention. And now what do you want? You want to know, what is this solution that you're referring to? Now, let me put this in a framework so you understand it. So 5 points in this framework. Number 1, you need to know your ideal client. The way that you talk and you present yourself, the way that you're going to sell this solution to the problems that they have, you need to know who are you selling to. You need to understand the demographics of your audience. Typically, where can you start? Have a look at the clients you've already worked with, the people that you've already had on your books. What do they look like? What are they typically, what industries are they in? Is it male? Is it female? Is it young? Is it old? What are all the different things that you can think about? Gender, location, industry. Paint that picture. What does your ideal client actually look like? Now that you've got that fixed, you know who you're talking to. One of the problems a lot of people have when they're out there selling their products, particularly on a digital space, they're talking to the wrong audience. And they're spending a lot of time investing in trying to get a message across to people who are just not listening. You need to know your audience. You need to understand who they are, and you need to know where they are. So even that is considering which, let's put it on digital terms, which social media platform are they most likely to be on? You want to be looking for the platform that gives you the fastest and easiest route to your ideal clients. Point number 2 is understand the problems that you know you can solve. It sounds simple, But when you invest in really understanding the problem, you've done your research, you know its effects. In the illustration I just gave you about the cash flow, really understanding that it isn't just a facts and figures problem in a business, but actually it has an emotional impact upon the business owner, upon the people in charge of the finances in a business. It could even have an impact on the employees if they're not able to make the salary budget on that month. But also it has that impact beyond the business into personal life. And it's understanding those problems. And you could unpack whatever those problems are in various ways and in various scenarios. But you need to do the research and really understand it, really map it out. What are all of the symptoms of this problem? Because now you can talk about it with some authority. And when you talk about it with authority on social media spaces particularly, is that people get it, that you understand where they're at. They see you as now as a go-to person who appreciates the problems and the hassles that they go through, and you know your solution can help solve that. So point number 3. Now talk about the problem and its symptoms. You've done the research, you really understand what it is. Now talk about it. Let them know that you understand the issues. By doing that, you will bring some authority and credibility. You also want to do it on such a repeated way that you become almost like their new best friend, because they've got somebody who understands where they're at. It's somebody who's really hitting the nail on the head and getting to the crux of the problem that they have. And you're talking about that. You're not talking about your solution yet. You're still talking about where they are. And what happens is your audience starts to identify with you. They're identifying with somebody who appreciates and understands where they're at. And that's something you need to do time and time again. You need to get it to that point where it's not just, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, it's about the facts and figures of a cash flow problem, but actually into that emotional point. When you hit the emotional side, that's when it really kicks in and people go, hang on, what did you just say? It's affecting family, it's affecting, yes, that's me. Now you've got their attention, but you have to speak that. So in a sense, you're reverse engineering from what your solution can do to which problem does it actually deal with and what are the symptoms of those problems. Reverse engineer the whole thing so your messaging comes through with clarity, it comes through really strong, you position yourself as an authority because you understand where they're at and you can help. And that's where you want to be. Then take it, this is point number 4, and we call this rub the salt in the wounds. Really labor on those symptoms. You could even do social media terms, you could plan it out, you could focus on one of those symptoms every single day because each one will have a different emphasis for a different business leader. But by focusing on them, again, the audience is identifying with you. The people who need your solution will come and listen to you when you start talking about those things that really matter to them. Those things that they're faced with month in and month out that they just wish I could get rid of this problem. I just want rid of this problem. What is it? And they're there, they're listening now because you've been talking about these very problems. Here's one of the things I've learned. When I talk about the symptoms, the problems, the things that are happening in somebody's real life world, everyday world, they start to run ahead of you. And what do I mean by they start to run ahead of you? I start speaking about the cash flow and how it affects your business and stuff like what happens in the reader's mind is there's only one reason this person is talking like this or talking about these points is because they're about to show me a solution. And what happens is those potential buyers run ahead of you and it's almost like they're waiting for you now to go, what is the solution then? You've elaborated on it all, you've described it perfectly where I'm at, but so what is that solution? And so there's an expectation you've already built without saying what the solution is. The expectation is already there, and that will help you deliver the sales. So once you've rubbed that salt in the wounds, now you paint the picture of a better future with your solution. So what does it look like? The scenario of the cash flow guy, I take that problem off you. What does that do? I paint the picture now of you being free to just run your business, to really develop it and grow it, to get involved in the hands-on stuff, the very reason you set up the business, the thing that you love doing, that passion you had for it is now reinstated because the pressure of the cash flow has been lifted by the solution that we can offer. And now he's looking at that. So now he's got his eyes fixed upon, that's what I'm wanting, that's where I want to be, that's what I'm after. And now we've painted that picture of a better future. So frame up what you're selling in that way. Remember, sell the problem you solve, not the product. If you just go out telling everybody, hey, I've got a great product, come and buy from me, they'll look at you and dismiss you immediately. You have no value. You have to show them the value by understanding where they're at and then presenting your solution. Now you've got an audience that will listen and they'll start to engage with you. Hey, I hope that's helped you today. And if you get a chance, come and check out more of the Maverrik podcast. We've got a load of different topics that we've been covering. So come and check us out anytime. Thanks for being with me today.